Hello, everyone. We're doing another poetry lesson today, and I want to say thank you to those of you who have handed in your poems already. Some of you have written beautiful poems about spring, about being alone. Thank you for those. Today, we're going to talk about a different kind of poem. So let's just review what we know about poetry. Poetry has a rhythm. Poetry uses really good words. Poetry does not have to rhyme. Poetry should come from your heart. It should be something you're really interested in. Could be about something really wonderful, something very sad, or something that makes you angry, something that makes you wonder. Those are really good subjects for poems. Today, I'm going to read a poem called Sky Wish. So just to review what we've done already in poetry, we did our first day a poem that came from your heart. And then the second day, we did the poem like I did my cheesy crackers, a descriptive poem. So that was focusing on really good words. And today, we're going to focus on punctuation. And you'll see what I mean by this poem called Sky Wish. This is about a girl flying a kite. Sky Wish. I wrote my wish upon a kite, closed my eyes, grabbed its string, through wind I ran, let it fly. My wish came true. It flew into that wide, wide map of sky. By Rebecca Kai Doltage. So there is the poem that she wrote about flying a kite, and she's divided it into 3 sections. So the white in between separates the sections. You might want to do that in your poem. She wrote the beginning part about when the kite was still on the ground. When she was writing on it, she closed her eyes and grabbed its string, so it was still just laying there. Then, through wind I ran, let it fly. Usually when you fly a kite, you lay it on the ground, you lay it on the ground, and then you roll out the string a certain distance, and then you start to run. And if you've ever done that, you know that kite goes up and down and up and down. It doesn't really fly right away. But in the third part of her poem, it does. Let it fly, my wish came true. It flew into that wide, wide map of sky. So the third part of her poem, the kite would be up in the air like it is here. The white spaces in the poem, either in between the stanzas or even at the ends of lines, make a difference to how the reader reads the poem. It slows you down when you have to go to the end of a line and then go back. Here's another thing that can slow you down. A semicolon takes the place of the word and. I wrote my wish upon a kite and closed my eyes. You could read it that way. A comma slows you down. You're just supposed to pause. A period makes you stop and pause. Here's another comma that would slow you down and pause, a period. And then there are 2 other things, a long dash and the ... We know how to read with those. We read it with anticipation of what's coming next. Grabbed its string. That's the exciting part. Will it fly? And then here, let it fly. If you want someone to read it that way, that's the way you have to write it, using that kind of punctuation. Through wind I ran. Let it fly. I still have to pause at the end of wind and ran because it's the end of a line. This one has the end of a line and a comma. So of course I pause quite a bit there. If I read the poem, I wrote my wish upon a kite, grabbed its string, closed my eyes, grabbed its string, through wind I ran, let it fly, I wish my wish came true, it would be boring. The author doesn't want a boring poem. She wants to tell me how to read it by giving me the punctuation. So here are some parts of speech punctuation that you might want to use. A comma to slow the reader down, a period to make the reader stop, a long dash or an ellipsis to give them anticipation about what's coming next, grabbed its string, exclamation, we know it's for excited, question mark for questioning. You could even use a semicolon for the word and if you'd like to. I wrote a poem and I took it from my heart. Poetry from my heart. and I decided that I would write about my friend. So I called the poem My Friend. This is about a real person. Her name is Lisa. She's been my friend since grade 2. And here's my poem about her. See if my line breaks and my punctuation help me to read it. My friend. Oh, and here's another strategy. All uppercase makes you emphasize it, right? We know that's like putting it in bold. Do you have a friend who is faithful and funny, cool and kind, ready to go anytime, anywhere? I do. Lisa. So there's my poem. Look at my punctuation and how it helps me. Do you, so I pause and I say it big, have a friend who is, and here's what she's like, faithful and funny? And that's my question. Do you have a friend faithful and funny? Here's another part of my question. Cool and kind? Ready to go anytime, comma, anywhere? And there's my question. Do you have a friend who's ready to go anytime, anywhere? I didn't write it all, but the do you have a friend who is goes with all the lines. And then I wanted to just make it plain. I do. And I moved it into the middle to make it more important. And then I ended with Lisa. And you'll notice that I started my poem with my friend and I ended my poem with Lisa. They're like synonyms. They both mean the same. It would be like starting with my dog and finishing with Rover, if that's your dog's name. It's a good strategy for poetry writing too. So think about punctuation. Question marks, dots, uppercase letters, periods. Can you write a poem taking an idea from your heart of something that means a lot to you? Can you see if you could write a poem about it and show the reader how to read it by using the correct punctuation? See what you can do. What's on your heart to write a poem about today? There are those things written on a scrap piece of paper. You can see through that paper. It's got math on the back. I'm reusing. Here are the things that might help you to write. Choose a topic that means a lot to you. Use some punctuation and show me how to read your poem. Then, if you can, do it on Seesaw. Use the microphone. You don't have to write it all out on Seesaw, but you could use the microphone to read your poem. I would so love to hear your voice reading your poem. Take a photo of it, and then I can see what you've written. Super duper.